Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to the Justice and Faith Show. Last week, we were out and about for my birthday.
So we missed a week again.
Yeah.
So we might have missed 2 weeks. I have no clue. It's been a crazy 2 weeks, which is actually perfect for this podcast. So you can kind of get a background on that.
So last week for my birthday, we decided we were going to go to the Pocono Mountains and do some stuff out that way. And one of the days we were there, we decided to do whitewater rafting because we had done that before many years ago. Well, I say many, but I don't know, 5, 6, I don't know. So anyway, while we were there doing the whitewater rafting, we decided that this was going to actually, he came up with the idea to do this topic and call it Relationship Rapids. Just because, like, we were talking about, like, how important it is when you're doing whitewater rafting to have a strong team and also to have, more importantly, like, the most important person in the whole thing is the captain at the back. And if stuff goes awry, it's usually his fault.
So let's take a visual. I don't know if everybody can. This is a visual of what this looks like. All right, and as you can see, I'm in the back. I'm in the rudder spot. So anybody who has done whitewater rafting before understands what the rudder does. The rudder navigates the raft to whatever position needs to go to avoid rocks, to change positioning, and things like that. Essentially, they are the captain. Mm-hmm. I've never done whitewater rafting where I was not the captain, where I wasn't responsible for navigating through rough waters. So I'm versed with it. So when I was in the raft, it was like during a cool, like a calm part, and I kind of came up with the idea, like, yeah, it's really calm right now, but we had just went through some of the rapids. And I was like, this is a perfect illustration of what relationships go, how they go. Because at that point, people were, they were playing, they were taking pictures, they were doing all types of things. But I was like, just 10 seconds ago, people were spinning out of control. They were going up on rocks. They were getting stuck. They were falling out. All kinds of different things were going on.
Yeah.
And then just as quickly, it was calm. So I know there's a lot of relationships that are like that. Ours is one of them. Mm-hmm. Where there's 6 classes of whitewater rafting. I
only thought there was 3, maybe 4.
So did I. But that's because I've never done anything higher than class 3 whitewater rafting. But it makes the illustration for relationships and marriage even more great. Because I was like, I guess that we were at like a 3. I would think that we were at a 2-3, where actually we would be at like a 4 or 5. And I'm going to kind of go through the classes quickly of the white water so we can understand, and so maybe you can kind of come up with where you are at. So class 1, very small, rough areas might require slight maneuvering. This is for beginners. Class 2, some rough water, maybe some rocks, might require some maneuvering. Basic paddling are needed to enjoy this. Class 3 is water that appears white due to the bubbles, small waves, small drop, but not considerable danger. This class may require significant maneuvering in the raft. Experience and strong paddling skills are needed at this level. That's why I thought we were class 3, especially being married and some of the not the pitfalls, but some of the issues that we've had the first time and currently. Mm-hmm. Class 4s, medium waves, maybe rocks, maybe a considerable drop, sharp maneuvers may be needed. This level should not be attempted without experience. This level is not recommended for people under 16. So in marriage, especially when you're at a certain level, it shouldn't be attempted without experience or somebody who knows something, who can give you some advice. We continue to learn that. It's always good to have people to bounce things off of. Preferably, It's good to talk to people who are in good, healthy, thriving relationships, not just people in relationships, not like you can talk to your single friends, you can talk to your friends who might be in like domestic partnerships or whatever the case may be. But if you're married, you should, as much as possible, try to talk to other married couples, even if they're not healthy, just so you can kind of see, like, man, this is really not how I want things to go. Mm-hmm. But you really want to find like a mentorship couple or a mentorship man. Like, there might be a good there might be a husband who's really good in a situation, and maybe the wife isn't, or the wife is really good, and you just kind of pick people's brains, and you gauge whatever you can from them, because people have been married 20, 30 years. There's a lot of things you just have to know to be able to get through that, because it's not easy. Right. So with class 5, large waves, large volume, possibility of large rocks and hazards, possibility of large drop, requires precise maneuvering. This level should be attempted by people with advanced experience. and in good health. Okay, so it's very important. Once again, now that we have an understanding of this, we understand we're kind of in the 4 or 5 range. Okay, class 6, considered to be so dangerous as to be effectively unnavigable on a reliably safe basis. All right, you can expect to encounter huge waves, rocks, hazards, substantial drops beyond the safety limitation. So I'm not going to get too much into that one, but I'm just going to essentially
Basically
say,
gonna die.
yeah. But for class 6, I would just say for anybody who is dealing with that, that's probably where things get too bad. We're looking at toxicity. So when we're thinking about relationships, we're thinking about where people typically are, where they want to be, and just kind of knowing the pitfalls. So us knowing, all right, we're in the 4 or 5 range, we understand that sometimes it's going to be calm, but then there's going to be some sharp maneuvering that's going to have to happen. 4 or 5 range is advanced, but we're okay. If we got to 6, it makes the relationship that much harder. And what did you just say? You're going to die.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to kind of look at things like that. So there's levels. So, puppy love and boyfriends, girlfriends, level 1 or 2, fiancés, long-term partnerships, 3, possibly 4, and then marriage, anywhere from 2 to 10, 15 years is getting into the, state high 4s and 5s.
And why would you say that? So just for people to
Say
clarify,
what?
why would you say that people who are married would be in the 4 and 5?
Because in order to be married, right? So I'm not a proponent of people getting married sight unseen without knowing some things, because I know how difficult it is. So if you're getting married, you should. My personal preference, I'm not saying everybody's, my personal preference is that you have enough experience to understand different people in different situations. Faith is different than anybody I've ever been with. I've had to I've unlearned everything I knew, unlearn her, and it's almost every day. So, but me having the understanding that I know people, I understand relationships, I know how to work things out, it gives me the ability to navigate these waters, because when certain stuff comes up, people panic. I'm not going to panic because I understand, all right, sharp turn here. This has to happen here. There's a rock coming. It's not going to kill us. It's just going to make us uncomfortable for a while. If you don't have any experience, it's very daunting. Mm-hmm. Just like actual water rafting. The reason why I enjoy it so much now is because I've done it a few times. I feel experienced. I feel experienced enough to be able to get in the back of the boat with anybody and be like, I'll take over, because I feel comfortable being able to navigate those waters.
Right.
Same way in a relationship. Now, Faith, on the other hand, if I don't know how much you will be able to navigate if the relationship was reversed and you had to be the captain.
Right. No, I don't know. Like that's why everyone has to know their roles, and everyone has to be clear on their roles, because there was a couple times when I thought I was helping you, but you said I wasn't helping you.
Because you were paddling. So, and I just had to steer the ship. So this is another cool thing. When you're the rudder, there's certain parts of the river that just kind of takes you. You don't have to do anything. So the people who are on the sides who are paddling, they need to stop. Because if the people on the other side are paddling and I'm the rudder, the boat's going to go one way or the other. So there was a couple of times where she was just kind of paddling. Once again, this is only your second time. Mm-hmm. So I remember my very first time, I never stopped paddling. And I was the rudder. There was somebody else that was with me because he was a rudder before, but he was like, we both can do it. I would never do it again with another person. But I was constant, and I was looking at everybody else, and we got to keep going. This is where the experience factor comes in a relationship, because when I was younger, that's how I used to look at relationships. Like, you got to keep trying. You got to try harder. You got to do more. You got to do more. I'm still that way in a lot of ways, but it's different. So if Faith had to be the rudder, it would take her a while to kind of understand what's necessary. And it would probably induce anxiety for her, because she would be in control, and people are like, even when we were doing, they were like, all right, the boat's going this way or that way, not understanding, like, I'm good, I know what I'm doing, but if you guys are doing this, it changes this. And they're like, oh, well, we're doing this, oh my, and I'm like, just relax and boop, and get you right back on track. And they're like, okay. Then after a while, you kind of understand, like, that person who's steering the ship, it's good. Mm-hmm. Like, you support, hey, there's a rock up ahead, we need to get over here, okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. But if you had to be that person, it might not work out successfully. And that's not it's not everything. There's situations where Faith, her temperament and who she is, works better than me. But more often than not, I have an immense amount of experience. So for us, we would be We would be at 4 or 5 default, mostly because of me and my experiences. But Faith has had to learn very quickly on the job, because sometimes I just toss, and like you have to do something, and we go off course, and it gets a little crazy. But
Yeah.
you know,
And I mean, I like this analogy because I feel like it's accurate, and it's something that people can maybe like understand if you've done it before, and even if you haven't done it before. Like, there's other things in life that we classify as like class 1, 2, 3, like, and I would assume, just not knowing those other things, but a lot of those things could probably be analogies for this as well. Like, 1 is usually like the safe or the beginner level, and then as you move up, you become more like expert level or whatever. So it is interesting to be what I would consider myself at like a 3. But like he said, he's not a 3. So it's either he brings me up to a 4 or 5, because I don't really think that it's possible for me to bring him down to a 3, because he's entirely too past that. Like, he would not go back down to a 3.
yeah.
So it's one of those areas where I would assume it would work better if you had people of the same level, but I don't think it's necessarily like awful that
It's another, like you said before, there's an understanding of your role. So
yeah.
there's conversations that we have, and they're not pleasant. And what it comes down to is just like a debriefing. Like, before you go on whitewater rafting, you get debriefed. You get told like, this is what to do. This is what not to do. If you get stuck, this is what you do. If you fall out, this is what you do. Don't panic. And that's probably the most important thing, is don't panic.
Yeah.
There are symbols. I believe this is like, we need help. This was like first aid, but not medical. So it's just like, don't panic. And as you can see,
like, don't stand up in white running water.
Right. And when we were doing it, at no point did I panic. And I'm like, at no point did I panic. I said, it's cool. I got it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
My temperament is good for those types of situations. I don't panic. I'm very level-headed and even keeled when the face of danger is upon. It's very different. Where most people would panic, I wouldn't. But where most people might be calm about smaller things, I could lose my mind quickly, because little things that go wrong, especially if it's consistent, it just tends to annoy me. Like, it's weird. It's just like if imminent danger is happening, people are like, oh my gosh, I just go, okay, just follow me. Like, that's just how I am. And Faith, and this is what works with Faith. She's even killed too. She's not a panicker either. I've never seen her really panic a lot. Like, the way she panics and her anxiety shows up is different than a lot of people. It's not up front. It's not everything. Like, 5 things might happen and Faith is just very even killed, and the 6th thing might just send her over the top. Mm-hmm. So with her, it's not so much that she just inherently panics, because she's inherently faithful. She doesn't really, she's not easily rattled, but when she is rattled, it's very hard to get her back on track. Like, so it will be essentially class 5 rapid, and I'm like, Faith, you need to do this. And if she's like, no, I can't, or I won't, and whatever, I have to work doubly as hard to steer and paddle, because she, at that point, I don't want to call it incapable, but she just kind of she stops doing, and then she's waiting for instruction or whatever. And I'm like, I can't instruct you here. I need you to do your job. Yeah. But she doesn't know what her job is, because she's like, well, I thought I was doing my job. So that's where she goes like class 3, because class 3, she was doing this. She was okay. Class 5, it increases. So what she was doing, it has to be more intensified. That's actually perfect. Yeah. Because at class 5, it's more intensified. She's just like, oh, well. And I'm like, babe, you got to understand, the waters have gotten rockier.
Yeah. Because it's not necessarily in that case that I would be doing anything wrong. I'm not doing it enough.
And that's
a big thing for us in real life.
That is a very big thing, where she'll go, I'm tired of being wrong all the time. I'm always wrong. And it's like, no, it's not that you're wrong. You're doing exactly what you should be doing. You just need to do it more, more faster and consistently. Mm-hmm. Like, it's constant, because the rapids, you've seen what's happened the last couple of weeks. We've been in some rough patches, not necessarily us, but just life and things happening around us. So when I'm like, okay, we got to go, she's kind of like, well, wait a minute. Like, why are you moving so fast? And I'm like, the river is moving fast. Like, I'm not moving. I have to move with the flow of the current. I can't slow down. If I slow down, we die.
Yeah.
And so then it starts to teeter into that 6. It does teeter into the 6. And I'm like, it teeters into the 6 because I was like, if she's not doing what she needs to do, as the captain and the rudder, anything, and at the captain, the person at the head, the leader, the CEO, whatever, if the people around them are not doing what they are positioned to do, it doesn't matter how good the captain is. That's why I say the captain goes down with the ship, because it's just like at that point you're like, it's kind of required, and it's like, I don't want to go down with the ship because I know how to manage the ship. But if the people on the ship aren't doing what they need to do, then it can affect us all.
Right. And it was very interesting. Not that this really ties in too terribly much, but when we got there, it was just him and I, and you can't be on a rapid boat or raft or whatever it's called. You can't be on there just 2 people. So we actually got paired with a family who was there, and it was 3 of them. And he called it. We got out of the car, we saw them walking in, and we were like, we're going to be with them. He was like, we're going to be with them. And I was like, how do you know? There's so many people here. You never
paid up on that bet either, I don't think.
I did too. I didn't pay up on the other bet from the casino.
I think you did one.
Yeah, I didn't do the casino bet, but I did that bet.
Okay.
But he was like, we're going to be with them. And I was like, how is that even possible that you know that? There's so many other people here. But lo and behold, we were with them, and they were great.
Yeah, they were. It was very good on a lot of different angles. One of them was he was a military man. I think she does like e-commerce, like e-retail, something. I think it's called Brown Girl or something along those lines. I have to look at my notes. Hopefully I can get a hold of them and stuff.
Yeah, it's Brown Girls, but without any of the vowels.
Brown Girls without any of the vowels. And I think that they do like clothing and different things like that. He's a military man. I think he works for like Southern North, the railroad. And just everything. They were the kind of couple. Now, when I say they, me personally, because me and him, Arbor, was the gentleman's name. We had a long conversation. The wife didn't say too much, just kind of like Faith doesn't say too much. But he was the first man that I actually spoke to that really just kind of, and he expressed the fact that they had went through some. He's like, 20 years ago, or maybe 18. He said the last 4 years were the happiest he's been, but he said they've been together or married for 20 years. And I said that was very impactful for me, because it's like the last 4 years is the happiest I've been. He was like, it was hard because he was out of town a lot for work and different things like that. And this is a constant we kind of talk about when I talk about why it's so important for me to be here and with family, because for me personally, but then for them. And I said a lot of people, well, I don't say a lot of people take that for granted, but I said I think for her, and then my daughter too, I was like, I think they take it for granted a little bit sometimes because I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
So hearing that from him, and how his middle child, kind of, was like, you don't spend as much time with me, and kind of, the fact that he had his youngest with him, and it just was a very interesting conversation. We talked a little Bible and scripture, and he had done a lot of stuff. So it was really like, there couldn't have been a better couple for us to have been with, especially for me specifically. It changed my mindset on a few things that I kind of was wondering about, and just understood that people choose who they choose for a lot of different reasons. And I just thought that was very cool. And then up front, it's like, those are the kinds of people, those are the kinds of couples that you just want to really, you want to pick their brain, you want to talk to them, you want to get as much as you can. And they were kind enough to kind of sit down and be interviewed impromptu. Right after we got done the rafting, impromptu, I was like, hey, while we're on the water, I was like, hey, would you guys mind? I told them about the podcast. I said, hey, we would love to have you on. And so, once we're about to wrap up here, we're going to put on the video that we did of them. If it's grainy or there's sound in the background, like, please forgive. Like I said, we were on location.
Yeah.
We're going to start doing more on location videos, other couples, us. So you can kind of see us out and about. We like doing stuff in real time and talking to other people, because we try to keep these things under 30 minutes. But I know the attention span of a lot of people is not. It's like, okay, they're talking about, if I was doing something crazy or stupid or funny, you guys would be listening more. However, it is important stuff that we talk about, because, we struggle just like everybody else. It's just, you have to understand, like, it's constant. It's work. And for people that want to get married and have children and do all these different things, you got to understand, it's work every day, no days off. if you can get time off, you can say, hey, I need some time to myself or whatever. But somebody's always working.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, just thinking about, just think about it in terms and analogous to whitewater rafting. Even if you've never done it, class 1 through 6. 1 is the easiest, 6 is the hardest, and you honestly, if you get the 6, you're probably not going to make it. And that's what it is. So we went into 6 before, and it happened very quickly. It happened rapidly. No pun intended. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it happened rapidly. Like, we were just kind of at 3. Funny enough, you were at probably 2. You were just you probably weren't even paddling, and I was up with the 5, and I'm just looking at you, and you're just like, "What's the issue?" I didn't, because I remember when we were, divorcing, you were like, "I didn't even know there was a problem."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "How could you not know there was a problem?" And so, but it's like when you're on that boat together and you're paying attention, it's just like, all right, well, you can't know it.
But also, the only thing with the analogy that I'm not really sure I'm on board with is because you want to eventually, like, even if you're in a 4 or 5, 6 area, 4 or 5 area, you can eventually get to like a 3, 4 area again. Like, it's about experience, but it's also about like comfortability with your person and like really getting into a rhythm with your person.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Because if you're always at a 4 or 5, like always up there, then it's like
that's life too, though.
Well, yeah.
And our life, very specifically, it tends to be in the 4 or 5 range.
Yeah.
So just some of the stuff that we've just experienced, just in a week's time, just bang, bang, bang.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would just,
yeah.
Like, so it's like, it's not so much us, it's life. But what makes it easy is if we're on the same page. You know your role, I know my role. We're working together, whether it's at a 4 or 5, whatever the case may be. We're better suited to handle it.
Right.
That's what it's about. It's not about, the rapid is life.
Yeah.
The river is life. We can't control that. All we can control is our experience level and our ability to be who we need to be in those moments.
Right. So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please comment, like, share, follow. Did I miss something? Subscribe.
Like, subscribe.
Do all of the things. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right. Wait. Keep your faith strong.
And maintain your justice. Bye.